All right, guys, I'm Lena Bond. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Lena Bond Sports. And I talked about it earlier. I want to break down 6 Crimson Tide football records that could be broken come this 2018 season. It was really hard to really dig in there, find the numbers, and find out these stats and who I think will break what. But let's first get to our career rushing record. I think this is kind of an obvious one. Damien Harris is very close to be able to break that record. He just needs about 1,400 more yards to break the rushing record set by Derrick Henry. The primetime Heisman-winning running back accumulated 3,591 yards during his 3 years at Alabama. Now, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons is not an easy task at Alabama, where a running back committee is utilized to maintain freshness throughout the game and throughout the season. Turning down the opportunity to play in the NFL, the Kentucky native in Damien Harris decided to return for his senior season, injecting inspired leadership and experience to a young Alabama team. And you can see right here, this is where the record is as it stands. Like I said, Derrick Henry, he's in that number 1 spot, and then Sean Alexander, Bobby Humphrey, Kenneth Darby, and TJ Yeldon. So if Damien Harris doesn't get to that number 1 spot, he should be able to fall somewhere at least in that 2 to 3 category come the end of his time with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Let's get into our next record, and I'm not done talking about Damien Harris. He can also beat the season yards per a carry record. So Bobby Marlowe set the Alabama record, averaging 7.5 yards per carry in 1950. The running back rushed for 882 yards on 118 rushes. Now, Harris is already in second place for yards per carry with a minimum of 100 rushes with 7.4 when he rushed for 1,000 yards on 135 carries last season. In 2016, he averaged 7.1 yards per carry, but did not quite have 100 rushes, so he didn't quite meet that category to be able to qualify. Now, tackle Jonah Williams and center Raj Pierce-Baker are the 2 paving the road to be able to ensure Harris breaks at least one of these records mentioned above. All right, and as you can see right here, I was talking about it, Bobby Marlowe and then Damien Harris right there at 7.4. He was so close in 2017, but didn't quite get it. And then you have Kerry Good, Johnny Davis, and then once again, Bobby Marlowe coming in at that number 5 spot. Let's take it to the quarterback position now and what records that can be broken. Blake Sims set an Alabama record in 2014 by passing for 274.1 yards per game. And of course, legendary wide receiver Amari Cooper was the recipient of the majority of his passes. Now, as sophomore Tagovailoa assumes the helm, expect him to surpass this number. He is a talented lot of playmaking wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends to meet this number with relative ease. And the world laid witness to Tagovailoa's performance with the comeback during the national championship game. The lefty delivered the pigskin all over the field to different receivers, bringing him an edge to the offense that was missing all of last season. And then here's the record as it stands right now. Blake Sims, Jake Coker, A.J. McCarron makes that list twice, and then Greg McElroy's at that number 4 spot with 248.9 yards per game. So let's see what can happen there. All right, guys, before I continue on with these records, another shout out to Autolist. Looking for a new or used car? Are you tired of browsing a million sites? Check out Autolist.com. They have the largest source of inventory on the web, or you can check out their top-rated app for iPhone or Android. So up next in the 6 Alabama football records to be broken in 2018, we have most passes thrown without an interception, and I'm thinking Jalen Hurts can really break this if he assumes the helm this season. The chances are that he'll be able to break A.J. McCarron's streak of 291 passes without an interception. Last season, the junior quarterback threw 1 interception the entire season, and the 1 turnover was topped for any quarterback in the nation that attempted at least 200 passes. His streak currently sits at 131 without an interception. Now, Hurts did not throw an interception until the 7th game of the season last year against Arkansas, so if he repeats that streak heading into this season, his name should be in Bama's record books for seasons to come, and you can see it right here. A.J. McCarron definitely making a lot of appearances on these quarterback records, so he is there twice, and I really think Hurts has an opportunity to push himself to that number 1 spot. Let's get into most touchdowns in a game now for an Alabama player, not just quarterback, not just running back, just overall. So 5 players are tied for most touchdowns in a game for Alabama. The record holders are quarterbacks Gary Hollingsworth, Blake Sims, and Jalen Hurts. The last time a player completed this feat was Hurts in 2016 against Mississippi State, when he finished with 4 passing scores and 1 rushing touchdown. Now, Tagovailoa is also an incredibly talented passer that could exceed these numbers if he were to be given the starting quarterback position. 5 touchdowns is a tall task for anyone, but I think Tua might be up for the challenge. You can see it right here, the 5 guys I named. No one can quite break that 6 mark, so maybe that's something that can happen this season. That would be absolutely crazy. All right, one of the other records we're going to be talking about today is most tackles for a loss in a game. So I was looking at all of these defensive records, and I think this might be one Raekwon Davis can actually touch this season. So the late great linebacker Derrick Thomas once achieved 7 tackles for a loss in a game, and this is including quarterback sacks. He also recorded, like I said, 5 sacks and 2 tackles for a loss in a single game, and that was versus Texas A&M in 1988. Now, Raekwon Davis is a grown man amongst boys, to say the least, standing at 6'7" and roughly 305 pounds. The gigantic defensive end registered 8.5 sacks last season. He displayed brute strength and cat-like quickness for his size, with 10 tackles behind the line of scrimmage as well. Davis mauling the offensive linemen to plummet quarterbacks or running backs will happen next season, but can he get to 7 tackles for a loss, including sacks, next season? We will have to see, but I think with that young secondary and Alabama's defense that has to step up on the line, it doesn't seem too unreasonable. And here you can see Derrick Thomas. He was dominant. What else is there to say? So he put up 7 and then 6 again in 1998. What a season for him. And then Wallace Gilberry, he did the same in 2007 with 5 tackles for a loss in 1 sack. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Alabama Football Report. Be sure to let me know in comments what records you think might be able to get broken this season by who, and I'll be sure to respond to you guys. But until next time, roll Tide.